Hi, girls. Welcome back to another episode of the Inner Path podcast. I'm your host, Bia, and as always, I'm really excited to be here. And how have you been? For me, this week has been a bit crazy, but in the best way. I feel like my vision board is starting to come to life. I've been honoring my commitments with myself, and it's really making me feel some type of way. I feel like 2023 for me was really about learning certain lessons, and now it's like, are you ready to integrate them? Are you ready to live by them and not just know them and that's it? Because it's so easy for us to know something intellectually, but actually put it into action, put it into practice, embodying it is a whole other story. Like, it takes much longer to do that. And that's what I've been realizing this week. It's like, everything that I've been working through, all the inner work that I've been doing, all the inner and shadow work that I've been doing for the past few months about everything, about, my idea of success, about my money mindset, about my worthiness, about self-love. Because although I love myself, it's always something that I'm working towards, because there's always more depth to everything that we work through. That's why the healing journey is a journey and not like a goal. Like, you don't heal, you don't just fix yourself and that's it. Like, it's a continuous process, because there's always more depth to it. And sometimes I might feel like it's a trap. Like, it might like make you feel a bit overwhelmed. I used to feel super like bad about the idea that it never ends, like you're always healing yourself. But what I've realized is that the more you are on this journey, the more you realize that like healing is not the goal anymore. You're not trying to fix yourself. That's like the beginning of the journey, where you're like, oh my god, I'm broken, I need to fix myself. But as you go through this journey, you start accepting your shadow, you start accepting your wounds, you start accepting the once broken parts of you. And now you understand that they're just like parts of you that need your love, that need your attention, that need your devotion and your acknowledgement. And like, it stops being a daunting task, to heal yourself. Like, more and more I feel like it's a blessing that I get to do that, and it doesn't feel like a chore, it doesn't feel like a task, it doesn't feel like an obligation. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to be able to be that for myself, because not everyone can, not everyone has the awareness to work with themselves, on themselves. Not everyone has the like honor and the privilege to be self-aware to the point where they can change their lives actively. Like, that is such a fucking blessing. I mean, it's a blessing that you're here listening to this and being able to, reflect on these things, reflect on yourself, understand your subconscious mind, do your healing work. Like, that is already such a big advantage that most people do not have. So like, use it the best you can, because it is a fucking gift that the universe is giving you. And everyone has their own purpose on earth. I genuinely believe that not everyone is meant to be quote unquote woke. Not everyone is meant to be self-aware. Not everyone is meant to be in the path that me and you are on, because there has to be people for everything. Like, if we were all woke, whatever that fucking means, by the way, but if we were all like very self-aware, very conscious, like, there would be no balance. There's always the shadow and the light. There would always have to be some kind of like compensation for the consciousness of, us as people. So I genuinely think that it's not everyone's path, but it's clearly yours, and that's why you're here. So I'm glad that we have established that it's a blessing to be able to do this type of work. And as I said, like, I've been integrating a lot of the things that I was learning last year in 2023. That was not that long ago. It hasn't been a full month since we dove into this new year, and it has already been full of revelations. I don't know much about astrological stuff, but I do know that stuff has been happening astrologically. I think Pluto was in Capricorn, if I'm not mistaken, and it moved into Aquarius, which it doesn't happen like very often. It's like every 20 years or every 20 something years, so it's like a big event. And basically that might also be why a lot of shifts are happening. I'm not sure, because I don't study astrology that much, but what I do know is that I do feel that shift. And I think it's also because I created a very clear vision for my 2024. And I really sat down with myself like in December to understand myself, to understand where I was truly at, without bullshit, without like without rose colored glasses, without like, without bullshitting myself, like fully honest, fully transparent with myself, like where am I at, what do I need to work on, where am I falling short on, what am I proud of myself for, like all the reflection that I've been talking about in the previous episodes. You can check them out. Like the last 3 episodes that I did are kind of around this topic, because it is such a big topic. 2024 is not just about 2024. It's like, it's a step towards changing the direction of your life. And every day you get that choice. Every day you get to do that. You get to change the direction a little bit more and a little bit more. And today I'm coming here to talk to you about all these lessons that I've been learning that really have taught me how to live my best life. How can you live your best life? Because it's not just about the things that you achieve, and it's not about what you have. It's not about your status, whatever. It's not about any of those things, literally at all, like at all. And you can still live a fucking great life where you are right now. Obviously, you will shift naturally, because all the things that I'm going to be talking about in this episode will naturally shift your life. They will naturally change your life as you go. But I think that these things have been so fucking relevant and significant to the changes that have been occurring in my life. Like literally, I feel like my life changed entirely since last year, like completely. And I don't mean just externally, because externally maybe someone would look and be like, it's pretty much the same. She's working online, she's blah blah blah, she's still living in at her parents' house. So it's like nothing changed apparently, like at the surface level. If you were a stranger and you were to look into my life, you would be like, yeah, nothing's changed, she's the same. But I mean, you guys know me, because I'm always talking here, and it's been like, at least a year of podcast episodes. But even just like me knowing, like I know that I've changed, because I feel those changes. I feel that my perspective about reality has changed completely. And I notice things that most people won't notice about my life, because it might feel like completely insignificant to them. But to me, I know, like, this is the sign that everything externally is starting to shift too. Because when I was doing healing work and learning to love myself, doing inner child work, while I was in my toxic relationship, I didn't see any changes in my external reality for literal, like at least a year. I didn't see anything really change. I felt like I was changing. I felt more conscious. I felt more aware. I felt like I had a bigger, wider understanding of life and myself, and even my partner at the time. But nothing was really changing externally. And a lot of times I wondered like, am I actually changing? But now looking back, I see like every little thing that I did, every little bit of energy that I put into myself, into loving myself, into learning about all these things, every single step of the way I was like changing a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And now I'm here and I'm like, dude, I'm a completely different fucking person in the best way. I have allowed myself to like just peel off so many layers of bullshit and of lies and of limiting beliefs. And I feel like I'm more and more myself every single day, and that's a really fucking cool sensation. So despite maybe for other people I haven't changed at all, the people that are closest to me feel that shift so much. It's like, Bia, you are a completely different person. Like I can barely recognize you. Bia, you're glowing. Bia, like you've grown so much. Bia, I'm so proud of you. Bia, blah, like, that, like they fucking know, because my mind is just so different right now. And I feel like 2023 brought a lot of stuff into my life. Like I experienced things that I never had experienced before, and it was thrilling, but also very fucking tough, like really, really challenging in so many ways. I dealt with heartbreak, so many fucking insecurities about my business, and imposter syndrome and self-doubt, and things not moving as fast as I thought they should. That's a really important word. And just like feeling stuck so many like at so many points during this journey of last year. And like sometimes wanting to quit my business, sometimes feeling like, what the fuck am I doing? Sometimes having wins and making a lot of money, but then not making money for the next few months, not having a lot of views or a lot of listeners for literal months in a row in the podcast and on my Instagram. And that was so frustrating to me. There were so many challenges along the way, but every single one of them, I tried my best to look at it as an opportunity to grow and to learn more about life and myself. I think that was a big fucking shift in my life. I guess we can start there, okay? You cannot prevent shit to happen. Like, you cannot prevent adversity to happen. Like, no matter how much you've healed, no matter how much work I've done on myself, I know I will have to face adversity. I know I will have to face challenges. I know I will have to confront my fear and confront my self-doubt and confront my demons, let's say, so to speak, right? I know that. I've been on this healing spiritual journey long enough to know that shit is not going away, because it's not about like being involved that suddenly there's no shadow, there's no like hardships, there's no challenges in your life. No, that's not at all the point. If you're expecting this healing journey to take away all of that, it won't. But what it will do is that it will make you resilient. It will make you stronger. It will make you just like, it will help you navigate everything, your life and those challenges, in a much different way, like in a much more empowered way, in a way that you do not lose yourself. Like, no matter how fucking hard it is, you do not lose sight of who you are. You do not like go back into self-destructive patterns. Like, all those things, they slowly start fading away, and you start handling life as a like conscious grown-up adult. And I mean a conscious one, because not every adult is an actual adult. A lot of adults are just kids that grew up, and nothing wrong with that, but I don't want to be that bitch, because I know that in order for me to take myself where I want to go, yes, I want to be connected to my inner child, but I want to be the woman in me. I want to be the woman of my dreams. So that means that I want to learn how to navigate life with resilience, with power, with self-belief, with trust, with faith. Like, that's how I want to live my life, right? So don't expect any of my episodes, not even this one, to tell you like how to live life without challenges, because that's not what this is about. This is about how to live your best life, how to make the best out of each moment, how to make the best out of even those hard moments. It starts with learning how to learn from it. Like, learning with the hardships, learning with the challenges, knowing how to not lose yourself in those moments, knowing how to regulate yourself emotionally and your nervous system during those moments, learning how not to abandon yourself. Like, those are big important things, because it's so easy for us to handle life when everything is perfect, when we're inspired, when we're feeling good, when we're in love, when everyone like around us is happy and they're happy with us and blah blah, like, right? Like, it's so easy, or it's definitely easier to do so when everything feels like it's just falling into place and everything is fine and everything is great. Of course, we're going to know how to handle life in those moments. The real challenge, but also the real opportunity, is how are you choosing to handle life when shit doesn't happen according to your expectations, when shit seemingly is falling apart. Like, how do you handle those moments? And yes, I did say that it is your choice and that you get to navigate those moments in a different way, because it really is an opportunity. I've talked about this before, but every single challenge in your life is an opportunity for you to expand outside of yourself, outside of who you think you are and who you think you have to be and who you think you can become. Like, it allows you to stretch that. It allows you to stretch your perception of yourself. It allows you to go beyond who you think you are And so you become bigger and bigger in yourself, which is basically like the expansion that we're talking about. It allows you to become more resilient. It allows you to learn so much about yourself, so much about life. And the way you handle those moments can literally like be so crucial to the growth that you are having or not. Like it will literally change everything. And so that for me was a big thing last year, because I was dealing with a lot of heartbreak. I was in a situationship after my 7-year relationship. Don't ask me why I got into that. I know deep down that I needed that experience. I know that I needed to have some support at the time, and I know that the universe sent this man my way because I needed some extra love. I was so fucking broken, and I felt so like, I was having kind of an existential crisis at that point. Like I was really, really low, and I know that the universe gave me this opportunity to feel loved and feel nurtured, and also have faith in men and in relationships and in romance. And it allowed me to drop into my feminine energy and to my inner child. And I think that was such a big important part of like healing and recovering from that 7-year relationship, and allowing myself to like get to know another side of me that is not in fight or flight, that is not always struggling, that actually receives the love she wants. Like that was really important to me. But then I got caught up in it, and instead of honoring my need and my desire of, I want relationships, I don't want situationships, I want commitment. Instead of honoring that at the time, I didn't, and I kept dwelling in the situationship. I kept accepting this person, and although it was great, eventually he moved away, and it was really fucking hard to handle that. I mean, it's been pretty much a year since he went away to another country here in Europe, but it was really, really fucking tough on me. Like it really felt like love was walking away from me. It felt like everything was falling apart again. I felt abandoned, and I've dealt with shit like this my entire life, heartbreak my entire life, and so it was really, really hard for me to deal with it again. Like it felt like there could never be a happy ending for me, that could never be my story, and I had to work through that for months. Like you guys know some parts of it, but also like obviously I need to take this within. It's a me to me type of situation and type of work. Like, and I definitely did a lot of introspection, and I thought a lot about this, and I reflected, and I did work, and I did meditations, and thankfully I have like amazing friends, and my best friend helped me a lot through this. But also it was like a choice, it was a choice to continuing to do that work, to continuing to heal. And a lot of times I wanted to avoid that work. A lot of times I try to run away from it. I try to like to overwork myself so that I wouldn't have to deal with it. I just tried to distract myself as much as possible, but every single time that I chose that path, it led me straight back into the wound, but even in a worse way, because it was like bottling up, right? And so it just made it worse and worse. And although that happened, it was still, I guess, the process that I needed to go to go into, and it really taught me so much, and it made me realize this was a big lesson for me this year, 2023, because going through all that process made me realize how much I needed that healing, and I needed that experience, because I needed to be confronted with my wounds again. I needed to be confronted with my fear of abandonment, with my fear of romance ending, with my fear of being on my own. And so I started embracing my single life. I realized, okay, I want to make this a good opportunity for me to learn to live by myself, for myself, and not because I'm in love with someone, because life is so fucking great when you're in love. But then it's like, can I be in love with life itself? Can I be in love with myself? Can I learn to love my life and romanticize my life, and like see vivid colors around me without the in love, without being in love? Because for me, I've always remembered feeling like life was only the most exciting when I was in love. And so I created this perception that, like, without being in love, life is not as alive, life is not as exciting, life is not as magical. And having to face the heartbreak made me realize, like, oh, I need to learn how to live for me. I need to learn how to cultivate these feelings and how to, like, live a full, exciting, magical life without having someone else to make that happen for me. And it's funny because when I finally realized what that was trying to teach me, like, it just started shifting my perspective and my energy, and it made me realize, okay, this gets to be an opportunity, so let me make the most out of it. That's what shifts when you look at your life and your challenges, instead of looking at them as like, oh shit, this is happening to me, why is this happening to me, why me, like, I'm so unlucky, blah blah blah, and complaining all the time. You go deeper and you ask yourself, like, okay, what can I learn from this? I'm not going to even say, like, what is the universe trying to teach me? If you don't want to look at it from the perspective of, oh, it's always for you and there's always a reason, because you're not in a place where it feels good to believe that, and you don't fully believe that, then don't believe that. That's okay if you don't always believe that it's always happening for you, because when you're going through the shit, it's so hard to see the other end. So don't try to look for it. And instead ask yourself the question, like, okay, what can I learn from this moment? What can I learn from this moment? What is triggering me in this situation right now? How can I use this situation to work through some of my shadows? What shadows are coming through for me? What fears or what wounds or what trauma is coming up for me? And you go there. That's how you make it an opportunity. It's not just like, oh yeah, it's happening for me. Like, you don't have to say that to yourself, because I know when you're going through it, it doesn't feel that way. So instead, say, okay, let me dive into this. Let me dive into the shadow. Let me use this to understand myself more. Let me use this as an opportunity to heal myself a little bit more, to work through the wounds, to work through whatever the fuck is down here. And you do that work, and eventually you see why. For so long I was like, why did he have to go? Like, this was the most beautiful thing I've ever had with someone, and it really was, so far at least. I'm sure there will be better, because at this point I don't believe it's going to be him in my future, but for a long time it was so hard for me, because it was like, why would this ever end? I mean, this was perfect. I mean, we had a beautiful relationship, we had a beautiful connection. It was so raw and so real and so vulnerable, and I've never felt it so deeply as I felt it with him. And it was so spiritual, and it was so just magical. It was literally the most beautiful fucking thing I've ever experienced in the relationship world in my life. And I'm like, why did it have to end? Why the fuck did it have to end? Why did he have to go away? Why is this happening? Why don't I get the guy? Like, why is this? Why is that? Like, I just felt so fucking angry and frustrated, and I needed to feel angry and frustrated. This is also not about, like, bypassing all these emotions and just pretending that they're not there. It's more of like, you get to feel that while also realizing that you get to learn from it. And that's always hard to navigate, right? And that's okay that it is, but definitely that was something that I started realizing, with time, with working on these wounds and these emotions, with going into that hurt that I was feeling, because it was over and because I wanted it to continue. I wanted to hold on to this situationship for fucking dear life. I was like, I do not want to let go. I do not want to let go, because this was beautiful. Like, why does it have to end? Like, I want to get my Prince Charming. I want to get my, like, beautiful love story. Like, I want my rom-com type of movie. Like, I want that for me. And I was holding on and holding on and holding on. And after doing a bunch of fucking work and crying and screaming and yelling and punching pillows and talking to him in the air, talking to myself in the mirror, like, feeling super down about this, writing songs about him for an entire fucking summer. After all of that work, this was like months worth of work, by the way. It did not happen overnight. Like, and but every time I went a little deeper and I dug a little bit more, every time I did that, I could realize it. I could see why that was happening. Every time I was working through it, I realized, okay, this is trying to teach me something about myself. That's what you gain with like spiritual experience, let's say. You start realizing these things much more quicker, much more, what, you know what I mean. It was like, damn, wait, like I understand why this is hurting so much. It's because I don't feel like I was chosen by my parents. I didn't feel like my dad chose me. And so there's a bigger wound here at play. Because I knew this was way, like, it was hurting way too much for it to be just about this guy. Like, we only saw each other for a few months. I was mourning him for much, much longer than I was, like, ever with him, right? And I didn't understand how. Like, how the fuck am I still feeling this way? Like, he probably doesn't give a shit about me right now, and I'm still thinking about him, and I hated that, because I'm a Leo, and I can be a proud bitch, and I'm like, damn, like, I don't want to be this girl. Like, I want to be the bad bitch, fuck you type of vibe. Like, fuck being good, I'm a bad bitch. I'm sick of motherfuckers trying to tell me how to live, you know? Like, I just wanted to not feel that way. But every time I finally faced it and confronted it, and I was like, okay, but I do feel this way. And I went into that feeling and I let it like be there. Then I would be like, oh wait, this is coming up. My latest realization with this, because it's been, again, almost 1 year, but these last few weeks, certain things have been resurfacing, and I'm like, wait, like, this is teaching me this. And every single time certain shadows and certain, like, pain points, let's say, have been coming up, like, every time I chose to handle them and to understand them and to work through them, to feel them, I always came out the other way, the other end, with much more understanding of myself, of my own shadows, and feeling much more love for myself. All because I chose to handle the adversity. I chose to handle the shadows instead of just avoiding them forever. That will never work. That will just accumulate stuff until you fucking explode, or until you hate your life, because everything is out of alignment. You know, when you ignore a certain area of your life, believe me when I tell you that something else outside of that area of your life is suffering because of that. If you ignore your love life, like, your personal life is suffering. If you ignore your social life, your work life might be suffering. Like, you know, like, everything is a reflection of everything. It's like, imagine being in a room and every single wall is a fucking mirror. Like, the reflection never fucking ends, you know? That's what happens in your life. Like, if one mirror is showing a picture, everything else is going to reflect it in its own way, but it will. And your life is just like that. And so learning to handle adversity, learning to handle your shadows, that's how you're going to learn to live your best life. You cannot live your best life without knowing to handle the shit. Like, you can't. You know, you have to learn how to take the trash out. And you have to learn what is trash and what isn't. You have to learn how to declutter and how to organize your, like, internal world. You have to make that, like, you have to make those a frequent visit. It can't just be like popping in popping in here and there. Yeah, like popping in here and there, just checking in with yourself, doing a little, like, I don't know, journaling session, and then after like 4 months, 5 months, you show up again and you're like, oh yeah, my life is like going to shit. Of course it fucking is, because you're like completely ignoring yourself. You're ignoring your internal reality. This is called the inner path for a reason. It's because every single thing starts within. Everything in your external reality starts with your internal environment, internal reality. And so for me, last year, 2023, it still feels like this year. I keep saying this year, but that year for me, 2023, was really about learning to handle adversity, learning to handle discomfort, learning to handle my own shadows, and learning to be okay with the process. And I'm not perfect. I'm still learning a lot of it, but I feel like I have learned a lot of it. Like I feel like I know how to handle things, feeling much more empowered. I have much more resilience now, and I make those opportunities. I have learned so much because every single time I choose to learn something from it, it's easier to learn for the next time, if that makes sense. Every time you just grow on your capacity to learn and to like look at difficult moments and look at hardships and challenges in a better way. Being positive is not about, oh my god, yeah, everything is rainbows and butterflies all the time. Being positive, it's like making something that's apparently shitty as fuck and realizing that it can be an opportunity. That's literally what being positive is all about. And that's something that I know I want in my life, because I don't want my life to be like good when it's good and shitty when it's really shitty and everything falls apart all the time, just like at the slightest inconvenience. Like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person that like constantly yells in traffic because there's traffic. It's like, okay, there is traffic, so can I do something about it? No. Am I gonna complain here all the time and just put my energy in a shitty place because I can't accept this situation? No, like, I'm gonna breathe. I'm gonna learn how to handle the big things and the small things, because I don't want my life to be about like highs and lows. I want to find a like higher ground or middle ground. I want to find ground in like a place where I can always go back to, no matter in what end of the spectrum and the like the graphic that I am. No matter if I'm in a high or I'm in a low, I always want to be able to come back to myself, come back to the knowing that everything is inherently all right. Like, of course, externally we have these situations and shit is happening, and like, you know, it can be hectic and it can be confusing, it can be overwhelming, but that ultimately I can come back to that space of like, but everything is really okay. Like, it's just momentarily challenging, but it's gonna be solved because I'm here and I'm willing to do the work and I'm willing to figure it out, even if it takes a little longer. And it's okay that you don't always realize that it will go away, you know? Like, when I was dealing with the situation of my situationship, a lot of times I'm like, what if I never get over him? Like, what if this was my person but I wasn't his? What I know now is that that's not fucking possible. Your person will always you being no wait me being no someone being my person automatically means that I'm theirs, right? But I know that now, I understand that, and you know, having to go through that heartbreak also gave me clarity about the type of relationship that I want, what I want to receive, what I'm not willing to accept and entertain. Like, all of it gave me so much clarity. I thought that he was like the best guy ever, and nowadays I know like I can get much better than him. And I'm not trying to like minimize him. He was fucking great, but better for me, you know? Like, I can get much better for me than him, because he had the tendency to be like, now I understand because I don't have the rose-colored glasses anymore, and I'm like, I'm not in love to the point of like, oh my god, he's perfect. I'm not dismissing the shit anymore. I'm now looking back and understanding like, wait, there were some warnings here of like certain behaviors of like being avoidant, being the type of person that could potentially like walk away, that could potentially ghost you, that like, I now see that so fucking clearly. Like, it was always there, but I chose to like overlook it because I guess I just had never like found better at that point, and I was okay with it, because a lot of the times I was like, maybe I'm just overlooking this, maybe I'm just stressing too much about it, maybe I'm just too demanding, like, and now I understand like I'm not too much. Actually, I am perfect for myself. I am just right for the right person, and that doesn't mean that I don't have to work through my shadows and that I don't have to like do my part in the relationship, but it means that I'm not going to shrink myself just to make someone else feel comfortable, just so I can keep a relationship, just so I can like avoid the breakup, or just so that I can avoid the feeling of rejection or abandonment. Like, I don't want to do that anymore, because that will not make me happy. And the truth is, I look back now and I know that this person was just not the right person for me, not for long term, not at all for long term. Because I want someone that wants commitment. I want someone that is willing to stay, that is willing to work through things, that is willing to face discomfort, that is willing to acknowledge certain things, have certain conversations, even if they're difficult. And now I understand that this person was not capable of that. Not at this time, at least. He was not capable of holding space for me. And that is okay, because I'm not going to make him the villain. I don't want to do that. I know making someone the villain for me is not from my highest self. I know it comes from my ego of also putting me in victim mode and being like, yeah, like, he sucked, like, he treated me badly, like, he could have done things differently, yes. He could have had certain attitudes that he didn't have. Things could have been different, but also, like, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And the more I put him as the villain of the story, the more I just hold on to the situation, because I have been treated unfairly. It's just like, but it was what it was, and he wasn't trying to be bad. He was who he was, and he showed it to me. I just didn't want to accept it at the time, and I ignored it, and I ignored parts of myself that needed something else, that needed something different, that needed more from out of a relationship. But I ignored them because I was scared of losing what I had with him. And now, like, having gone through all of that breakup, all of that heartbreak and all of that, like, stuff, like, now I understand that I really needed to go through all of that. I needed him, and I needed him to be in my life, but I also needed him to not be in my life anymore. I needed him to walk away. I know that now, because I know that that was a very important moment that allowed me to be where I am today. It allowed me to do certain work, and allowed me to have certain reflections with myself that I wouldn't have had otherwise if it wasn't for all of that happening. I wouldn't have reached this level of self-love, and this level of self-understanding, and this level of just being, like, genuinely happy about my life and in love with my life, if I hadn't gone through that experience. And so I made it the best thing. Making your life the best life for you starts with you understanding that it is in your power to do that. I could continue to dwell in this forever and never let go, but that would not help me. That would just not help me. And believe me when I say, I have bumped my head enough times with the guys and romance and partnerships to know that, like, it's not fucking worth it. To hold on when it's time to let go, it's never fucking worth it. It will suck life out of you. I know that. I was in a 7 fucking year relationship with someone, and believe me when I tell you, it's just never fucking worth it. It really isn't. It can ruin you, and it's not worth it. It's never fucking worth it. Did I say that enough? It's never fucking worth it? Okay. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing into living your best life. It's not expecting everything to be perfect, and making the best even out of the worst moments. Like, if in the moments where I'm really, like, doing badly emotionally and shit is just hitting the fan, and I'm like, I'm like all over the place, that is an invitation for me to honor myself. Always. Every single day you get to honor yourself. And honoring yourself might mean different things for different times of your life. Like, if you're feeling really bad, it might mean resting. It might mean taking it slow, being more grounded, journaling more, sitting more time with yourself, talking to yourself, connecting to your inner child. And other moments might be like pursuing your dreams, taking action, socializing more, having more fun, putting yourself out there, traveling, blah, blah, blah. Like, it literally can mean so many different things. That's why for you to live your best life, it's important that you're self-aware. It's important that you continue to ask yourself these questions. It's important that you never forget why you're doing what you're doing. Like, what's the reason? Why are you living life the way you're living life? Why are you waking up and doing that instead of that? Like, that, all of that gets to be intentional. And we're all learning to master that, I feel like, because we're human, and that's part of the journey. to not have it all figured out and to feel a bit lost sometimes, and sometimes not do the things we say we want to do. That's part of it. But every single day we get an opportunity to do different, to do better. So the second thing that I want to mention is that, like, learn to make space for your needs and learn to honor yourself in whatever way you need at that time. Whether that's like making space for your heart, emotions, and thoughts, like that's really, really important if you want to live your best life. It's not ignoring that shit. Because even if it's not because you're like in a bad place, sometimes it's when we're in a best place that we forget that there's still an inner self. There's still like an inner world that needs to be checked in from time to time. And it doesn't always look like doing heavy work, by the way. Like sometimes it can be fun. It can be like, for example, for me, it can be connecting to my inner child, singing, playing songs, going outside, being around nature, taking myself to the beach, taking myself on a date. It might be journaling just about anything. It might be hugging myself. It might be taking a nice hot shower. Like it can be a lot of different things. You get to decide what makes you feel better and what makes you feel connected to yourself. Because for you to live your best life, you need to be intentional, and for you to be intentional, you need to be connected to yourself, because that's how you connect to your vision, to your higher self, to your intuition, to your heart. That's what's going to lead you to the life of your dreams. So you cannot go without it. Like you always have to go back to yourself. If you feel like you're living too externally and you're never checking in with yourself, believe me, your inner self will start noticing, and it will start coming out in some ways. It will start manifesting into like maybe being triggered more often, feeling ungrounded, feeling lonely, feeling really tired. Like all the ways you can imagine, the universe will just try to force you to sit with yourself for a fucking moment, because you need that inner stillness. You need to find that inner ground and that inner structure of like, I have me. I am here. I am present. Like that's really important. I feel like no matter where you are, and sometimes we definitely forget about it, but no matter where you are, like that will always be a game changer. That will always be what takes you from where you are to the next level, because you cannot level up without being intentional about your steps. You cannot level up without like being very aware of where you are. And for that to happen, you need to be with yourself, with your inner self. And for me, that's definitely important. That's definitely something that I've been trying to prioritize more, like journaling more often. I've just been spending more time with myself, especially because certain shadows have been coming up, and it made me realize like, oh damn, like I've been so focused on my work, I've been so focused on like making stuff happen in my external reality that I forgot that there's still this going on. There's still like this inner world inside of me waiting for me to like nurture it and water it and like cultivate good things in it. And so I'm like hugging myself more often, and I've been doing things that I enjoy more but also keep me grounded. I've been meditating more. Wait, I'm gonna sneeze. Thank you. He said bless you. Let me drink some water. I feel like this episode, I mean, I have a lot going on in my mind, to be honest, guys, because again, it's been an intense few weeks lately, and so I know that this episode is like a lot, but bear with me, because I do think that a lot of what I'm saying is so fucking important and can be really valuable lessons for you to take with yourself for the rest of this year. So make sure that you're saving this, make sure that you're sharing this with your friends, and if you love the podcast, also make sure to leave a 5-star review, because it really helps. And this podcast is amazing, and if I could review it, I would. So yeah, let me drink some water. Today's drink of choice is lemon, water with lemon and lime, but it's already feeling like lemon peel instead of lemon juice, so it's a bit disgusting right now. I'm just being real here. But so, you know, some shadows were coming up for me these past few weeks, and I realized like, oh, this is coming forward, this is coming to my attention, because like I haven't been with myself, and I realized that. So I'm like, okay, I need to start like taking more space. I need to start making more space for myself, and I've been cultivating really good practices And a lot of it is intuitive, but a lot of it is also very intentional, and I try to do it as regularly as possible, like daily preferably, because it does shift my energy a lot, like a lot. And that's what I want to talk to about next, which is certain practices that help you live your best life, because they overall like elevate your energy, they elevate your frequency, they allow you to feel more grounded, but also like put you in this energy of possibility and this energy of abundance and this energy of like enoughness that I think is really, and wholeness, that's a good word, an energy of wholeness that I feel like is really important if you're like striving for big things, and if you like want to create a beautiful life for yourself. I mean, if you want to create a beautiful life, you're not going to be in a nasty place, you know what I mean? Like I could never create and write a happy song if I'm feeling depressed as fuck. Like when I'm feeling depressed as fuck, I write the saddest songs, right? Like it's the same thing. Like you will create what is happening within you, and that's also why your inner environment is so important. I don't know if you can see, if you're seeing this and watching this on video on my YouTube, I don't know if you can see the vision board behind me, but I don't know where I was going with this. Oh, but like for me to create this vision and for me to be in this energy, a lot of it starts with these practices that help me elevate into this energy of things can happen, like of possibility. And again, this is not just about 2024. I know I've been on topic for the new year, but this is much bigger than that. It's about the life that you're creating for yourself just in general. And so like one of my favorite practices that I've been practicing a lot, and actually this is something that I've been talking a lot about in the Goddess Codes in my membership, because it is fucking important and it's been changing and shifting my energy so fucking much. But it's two things: practicing gratitude and practicing self-validation. I feel like I should do an entire episode on self-validation, but at the same time I don't think it would be a big episode, like probably 15 minutes, and I think I could explain all of it. But gratitude, I've talked about that before. Gratitude is so fucking important. And actually today I was journaling a little bit because I felt like I needed to ground my ideas. I was literally all over the place, and I'm like, okay, let me journal a bit because I want to make sure that I'm saying something good for the podcast today, and I don't want to be in my head. So let me try and like be as grounded as possible, and like, I don't know, just create a line, like a line, is that like create a train. Yeah, thank you. Oh my god, I cannot speak today. Create a train of thought so that I can talk about something and on the podcast and not be all over the place. Although I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place, but again, guys, bear with me. I've talked about gratitude before, and today in this journaling session I was thinking about when I was spending summer in Italy. If you're new to the podcast, in 2023 I spent summer in Italy. I had the opportunity to go there. I did it with a program. It's called Au Pair, and you can do it for like international traveling, and you basically like kind of babysit or assist a family with their needs, whether it's taking care of the kids, cleaning the house, making meals, whatever it is. You get to choose also like the family that you want to work for and where. And I had the opportunity to go to Italy, spend my entire summer in Venice, which was such a beautiful experience. I miss Italy so much. This is like this is kind of not in topic, but I just wanted to say that I've been missing Italy a lot lately. But basically I was thinking about that and remembering that when I was there I felt so expansive and so full of life and full of hope and so abundant and so alive and so like, I really don't know, like fully open. I just felt so open, like my chest was wide open. Energetically speaking, I just felt so alive, so grateful for my existence, so grateful for the reality that I was living in. I mean, of course I was in Italy, so it made it much easier to feel that way. But I was practicing gratitude every single day. I was not just on paper, but also like I was actively looking for things to be grateful for. I was actively looking for gratitude everywhere I went. I was looking for magic, and I was looking to create that magic too. Because it's going to be hard to create magic if you spend your entire day stuck in your house and you don't do anything ever. Like, it's not going to feel so magical if you have a vision board just laying around, but you're not really bringing it to life. It gets to be your choice. It's your decision and your responsibility to bring that magical reality into your reality, into life. But also learning to feel the magic with what you have right now and where you are. And that's why gratitude for me has been so important, because it's like noticing the smallest, littlest of things and realizing, like, wow, this is something that I get to be grateful for. Like, I barely notice it because I take it for granted, but I get to be grateful for it. And the more I have practiced this, the more it has been easier to recognize how much my life is a miracle, how lucky I am, how abundant I am, how many opportunities are around me. It really has like trained my mind and my subconscious mind to look for opportunities. That is big. That literally has shifted so many things for me. And in Italy, I remember I was so open to magic and to miracles to happen. And when I got back from Italy and back to Lisbon, I felt kind of this connection. I'm like, back home, everything is the same. I just felt like the magic was gone. And I think that for the first few months that I was here, I pretty much forgot about like how good I felt in Italy. And in the past few weeks, although they also have been challenging, which is so curious, because you assume that when things are hard, suddenly like your life has to become like gray. But I've learned to see beyond the clouds, if that makes sense. Like, I know that there's always the sun, and I can make a cloudy day, like metaphorically speaking, beautiful too. Maybe I will put on a blanket. Maybe I will like wrap myself around a blanket and like drink a hot drink and watch Gilmore Girls. That's what I've been doing lately. And eat noodles, and I don't know, just make it cozy and beautiful, and I can still romanticize something like that. I can still make something beautiful out of something that is apparently ugly, or apparently not so good and not so attractive and not so just nice, right? But okay, getting back to where I was, like being in that energy in Italy and suddenly coming back, it was really hard to make that to bring back that perception that like life is so magical and like there are so miracles happening every single time. But in the past few, especially in the few days, but also weeks, I've been doing a lot more. I've been bringing my vision board to life, going to places. Something that I really committed to for this year was having a more active life in general. I don't mean physically or just physically, but I mean like going more places, like having more adventures, trying new things, like creating a more active social life too. Just literally not just working. Pretty much, like, I don't want to sit around and work all day. I work from home, I work alone, and so it's so easy for me to isolate myself, not only from other people, but from life, from experiences, from living. And I don't want to do that. And I realized, like, I really want to commit to making opportunities, like to taking myself places, to taking myself on dates. And I'm not going to use money or time as an excuse. I will find things to do that are money free. I will find things to do that are not time consuming or energy consuming. I literally made an entire table of like date ideas to do with myself that include date ideas for rainy days, date ideas for when it's hot, date ideas that are money. I call them the rich bitch one. I call it the money free, which is basically like, is it money free, money something, which is basically like it's around like 15 euros. Rich bitch, it's like above 20. And then there's a freebie, which is like maximum 5-10 euros, preferably like completely free. Free 99, as the guy on TikTok says. And so it's like, I created that because I'm like, I'm not going to give myself a chance to not make this happen. I'm not going to give myself an opportunity to make excuses. I really want to make it happen. And I've been doing that more often. I've been going to the beach. I've been roller skating. I've been like seeing my friends more often. I literally took myself on a date the other day, and it was like the weather was shitty as fuck. It was cloudy. It was cold. It was raining. And I'm like, I'm gonna get out of the house. Like, I know I need to do this for myself. And I just put myself out there. And I ended up having a good time. Like, it was really cold. And so if it wasn't cold, maybe I would have like stayed for longer. But I still spent like a few hours outside. And I felt good because I did it for me. And I enjoyed myself. And, you know, I went on a little like train ride because I'm like, I was tired also physically, so I'm like, what can I do that is outside of the house, that doesn't like make me walk around for hours, and that like is kind of rain protected? And I'm like, let me just go on a train ride. No, it was actually a bus ride. So let me go on a bus ride, or tram. It was a tram, really. I guess that's the like the more accurate word. But let me go on a ride. I can like see the entire city without having to move a fucking muscle, and I get to do something different. Let me do it. And it's really, it's a freebie. It's like less than €5, so let me do that. And I had a good time. Like, I enjoyed myself, and I felt really proud of myself that I did that. But this to say, going back to my point, which is I made opportunities that like made me feel happy. And because I've been doing that, paired with the constant inner work of practicing the gratitude, practicing all these things, learning to notice the good things in life, suddenly I genuinely feel like I'm back, like energetically speaking, I'm back in Italy. Like, I'm back in that energetic and mind space of, wow, like my life is literally beautiful. Like, there's so many miracles happening all the time for me. Like, I'm so fucking lucky. I'm so fucking abundant. Like, I notice that more because I have been training myself to do that, and because I make sure that I make it happen. Like, I don't just leave it up to faith. Something that I said today on my Instagram stories, it came as a download. It was like, don't leave it up to faith, because you are your own faith. Like, you are your own faith. It's your responsibility. If you don't happen, your faith will be whatever the fuck is like happening already for you. If you want to change your faith, you change yourself. If you want to better your faith, you better yourself. If you want to ensure that your faith, not faith, oh my god, fate, oh my god, sorry guys. I cannot speak today, for the love of God. But if you want your fate, okay, to like be shitty, then just make sure that you don't do shit. And it will be shitty for real. You know what I mean? Like, it's up to you. You create your fate. You are your own fate. Fate, okay? F-A-T-E, fate. Okay? And for me, gratitude has been really important. And I hope you start practicing gratitude after listening to this. Practice gratitude. How do I do it? I basically write in my journal gratitude almost on a daily basis. I haven't done it today, like at least not like in writing, but I try to write it down, because then I make it an intentional moment in my day of like, okay, let me sit down and look for things to be grateful for. And so I try to write down like 3 to 5 to whatever, but at least 3 things that I'm grateful for every day. I usually end up writing like much more than those. There was this one day I wrote like 7 things or something, and I'm like, damn, I'm really grateful today. Okay. But so I write those down, and I don't just write them. I really try to think why I'm grateful for them, and I try to even speak out loud and be like, oh wow, like this is really cool that I have this and blah blah blah, and I explain to myself why, like, because I want to make sure that I'm putting myself as much as I can in that energy. Like, I bring that energy with me. That's something that I love about having this perception of my own energy, is that I understand that I can call in these energies, and I can linger, or I can make it linger for longer, and practicing gratitude and just saying I'm grateful for this and this and that's it. Like, that's good, but you can make it linger a little longer. So stay there for as long as you can. Like, explain to yourself why you're grateful. Look around, like, feel that gratitude in your body. Let it sink in. Let it sink in. Let the gratitude sink into your body. That makes a huge fucking difference. The other thing that I've been practicing a lot lately is the self-validation, as I was saying. And for me, this became very, very important because I realized that I was having a lot of self-doubt around my business and a lot of imposter syndrome. And it made me realize, after doing some work, again, with the reason why it's so important to do the inner work and why your shadows and your challenges can be opportunities, because it made me realize, like, oh, I can work on these self-limiting beliefs by compensating in a positive way. And so instead of like constantly focusing on my self-doubts and just letting it be and always having to work through that, let me find a balance to that. Let me start self-validating. And so I also have a self-validation list, where I always write things. Like, I'm gonna write, I did the podcast and I created content for today and for the rest of the week. I have been selling more often in my stories. I have this and this and this, and now it's not just about my business. I have extended it to like my entire life in general. So the other day I wrote, today I opened my heart and I spoke my truth. Today I set a boundary. Today blah blah, and I just sit there as much as possible. I'm like, I'm so proud of myself. This is amazing. And if you're just starting, this might not come very naturally. And that's why I think it's also so important to have a space where you can have someone else validate that for you, someone else recognize that in you, because it will kind of help you give yourself permission to feel proud of yourself. Like, just saying to yourself, oh, I'm so proud of you, oh, I'm so grateful, blah blah blah, like, it's not going to work if you don't feel it. Don't just say things because you think you're supposed to say them. Like, pick something, even if it takes you 5 to 10 to 15 minutes to like figure something out that you're genuinely grateful for, that you genuinely feel like you can validate yourself for, and use it. Like, but do things that feel true to you, so that you can actually like cultivate that energy a little bit more. Because if you're just like straight up lying to yourself and being like, yeah, of course I'm grateful to have water, but you don't really feel that gratitude in your body, don't write it down. You can write down, I'm so grateful that I just had this avocado toast and it tastes fucking delicious. You maybe can't validate yourself for like being beautiful because you don't believe that you're beautiful. Then validate yourself for something else, because the more you do it from an honest place, the more it's gonna like kind of, imagine like ink in water. It's just gonna spread. It's gonna start spreading. That energy will spread throughout your body, throughout your life, and you will start noticing it more and more. And for me, self-validation has been really important, because it has really allowed me to see myself in a completely different way. It has shifted my perspective about myself, my success, my happiness, my capacity, my capability as the person that I am. And it has made me realize, like, I am the woman of my dreams. I am that person already. Like, sure, I still have improvement to do, but I'm already her, because I'm already taking the steps that she is taking. Like, I'm already making the decisions that she's gonna make, right? And of course I'm gonna continue to improve and get closer and closer to her, but I'm already that person. You're always you, although you have been a baby and now you're like a teenager, or you're an adult or young adult or whatever, right? Like, but you're always you. So when you're a baby, you're not like trying to become someone else. You're trying to become more of you. You're trying to work on yourself so you can become more of you. Does that make sense? Like, so I don't look at myself now as in I'm a different person than I'm gonna be in the future. I am already her. I'm just in the making. We're always in the making until we die, right? Like, but that's it. Like, so self-validation for me has been allowing me to understand, like, I am her. I'm embodying her already. I am in that energy already. Like, and I'm gonna choose to be proud of myself for it. That has definitely changed my perspective a lot. And so I've been working on this self-validation in the Goddess Code, in the membership, because it really, really has been helping me, and now the girls that are inside the membership, And we'll see how much this impacts them, because I'm sure it will a lot. It has impacted me so much already, and I've been doing it for like a month now, and it's already been like wow, like honestly wow. So definitely start doing those gratitude and self-validation daily if you can. It doesn't take that long. Like it literally takes 10 to 15 minutes. If you say you don't fucking have time, that's fucking bullshit. We've already like settled that, okay? Like it's bullshit. You have at least 15 minutes a day to do this. The other thing that I feel is very important, this is the last thing that I want to talk about. I don't know how long we've been talking. Let me check. I have no idea. Okay, it's been an hour. I figured it's always been an hour. But the last thing that I want to talk about is practicing mindfulness and grounding work. And for me, this is really important. Well, everything I've been talking about is really important and really like decisive for the life that you can live. And all the things that I'm talking about, this is something that I really want you to understand. Like all the things that I've been talking about are things that you can implement today. Like you don't have to wait, because it's something that it starts with you. Everything starts with you. And so these things don't require money. They don't require literally anything. So give yourself the chance to start doing it as soon as possible. You know, after this, make a little gratitude list, make a self-validation list, like, you know, like do those things. But the last thing that I want to talk about is mindfulness and grounding. And I think this is particularly important when you're working to be intentional. Because again, you cannot create your dream life if you're not intentional about the life you're living. Because that intention is what allows you to make conscious decisions that align with your vision, that align with who you want to be, that align with your higher self. If you're not intentional, then your life is going to be a consequence of your traumas, of your limiting beliefs, of everything that you have lived before. It's going to be a consequence of that, and it's not going to be intentional. It's going to be a byproduct of, you know, your past and your limitations, and that's not what we want. That's not, I feel like it's getting darker and darker right now. But that's not what we want. And for you to be intentional, it's important for you to be mindful and cultivate moments of presence. I'm going to turn the lights on. This is pissing me off. Is this episode chaotic or what? I feel like this helped nothing, but whatever. So for you to be intentional, you have to be mindful. It's important for you to be mindful of your energy, of your time, of what you're doing every fucking day. Because we are on autopilot so often, and the more you grow in consciousness, and the more you practice mindfulness, the easier it's going to be for you to pick up when you're not being mindful and when you're on autopilot. But you still are in autopilot, like here and there. Like that's perfectly normal. We're not supposed to be conscious all the fucking time. At least I don't believe that. It's normal. We have a subconscious mind, so there's always something like there's always an autopilot at play. But let your autopilot become a little bit more tuned into your vision, because right now it's probably at the point where it's still connected to who you were, or to your childhood and to your traumas and to, you know, those conditions. And so if you want your subconscious mind and your autopilot to work with you, then you need to be as mindful as you can and as intentional as you can every day, and work on your mindset, work on your subconscious mind, work at this deeper level, at your inner reality, so that you can start, like, so that your default can become powerful to you, so that it can become helpful to your vision and to the life that you're creating. Because nowadays I very easily recognize gratitude. I very easily see miracles, because I have, you know, worked on my mind, and I have deconstructed a lot of things, and I have rebuilt my subconscious mind in many ways. And so in some ways it's already working for me, like it's already working with me and for my higher vision. And in some ways I'm still working with, you know, some old limiting beliefs. That's perfectly normal. But my point is, it really does make a difference. Like mindfulness is fucking important. Like when you're not mindful, you're mindless. It's either or, really. Like when you're not mindful, you're mindless. You're not really paying attention to your present moment. You're just doing things on autopilot. You're not really like doing things out of intention, out of like a vision, out of like a desire or a need. You're just like walking through life because you have that path and you have that lane, and you never fucking question it, and you don't even look up. You just look at the floor and you look down all the time, and there's no fucking perspective, you know? Mindfulness allows you to have perspective on your life, about yourself. It allows you to cultivate inner peace, which allows you to feel more grounded and allows you to feel more it gives you power. It gives you the power to choose. It gives you the power of decision. It allows you to feel much more structured and much more I guess it just puts you in a place where you have more inner stability, if that makes sense. And that obviously helps you to create the life of your dreams, because if you don't have any inner world, if you don't have a place that you can rest at, if you don't have a place that you can always come back to, then, you know, what can you do from that? I personally don't know. And I think mindfulness is really important for that. And it can be really fucking simple. It's like you can eat a meal without looking at your phone. You can go outside without your phone. Not being with your phone helps a lot, first of all. Actually, the episode 22 of the podcast is about mindfulness, so if you want to check it out, I'm gonna put the link down below, but also just check out the episode 22 of the podcast. But yeah, like it's really, really important, and it's been changing my life a lot. And the way I practice it is definitely being mindful of like not being on my phone all the time, and creating like present moments where I'm not focused on anything like work related, blah blah. I'm just focused on what I'm doing at that moment, like when I'm cooking a meal, when I'm eating, when I'm showering. Sometimes, I'm not saying that I always do this, but when I definitely feel like it's important for me to do so, when I feel the need to create that presence, then I do it. And I also meditate very regularly. I've been meditating almost every single day, like creating that ground, putting myself in that energy of like inner stillness, of being connected to my inner world, of being in tune with my energy, of being in tune with my body, so that I can like throughout my day make decisions from a place of I know where I am, like I know where I am, I know who I am, and I know where I want to go. But also always from the perspective of I'm gonna honor myself and what is best for me, emotionally, physically, and mentally. So for example, today I was feeling pretty tired, and I meditated, and I'm like, dude, I really don't want to like leave my bed. And so I literally, like, until I don't know 12, I was in my bed. I was just making content and editing videos and stuff like that, just in my bed, not doing much. But at some point I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling the need to move. My back is starting to hurt. I'm starting to feel a bit like chaotic. I'm starting to feel hungry. Let me move. And I walk through my day, and I go through my life always mindful of how I'm feeling and like what I need, because that's what allows me to continue to honor myself. And when you honor yourself, you automatically get closer and closer to the version of you that, like, you know, has the life that you desire. You automatically align yourself with your higher self. Align yourself with your higher self. That's literally what happens. It's like, it's a continuous process. It doesn't happen overnight. Living your best life is about creating the best out of this moment. It's about creating intention in this moment. It's about opening up to possibilities and to miracles and to gratitude and abundance in this moment. You do not have to wait until you have it all figured out, until you have like no problems in your life, because that's never actually going to happen. Of course you can minimize your problems. Of course you can find more alignment, which will definitely take away the suffering, but you will still hurt from time to time. You know, suffering is lingering pain, but hurt will always happen. Like, you get punched, you get hurt, you know, and life punches us sometimes. Like, life kicks us in the ass sometimes, and that's perfectly normal. But if you feel tortured by life, then you're torturing yourself. Damn. If you feel tortured by life, you are torturing yourself, because life does not torture you. Like, all life does is give you a few hints of where you need to go and how you need to heal and how you can continue to liberate yourself from whatever pain and whatever trauma and whatever limiting belief and condition is at play, so that you can continue to unfold and take off and peel off these layers, so you can continue to become your highest self and your, your her, your future her, the her that you desire to be. Like, because you're already her. It's just a matter of oh my god, I'm saying that word way too often, but it's just a matter of becoming her. But that means that you get to be her right now. Like, you can already be in her essence and in her energy at this point. Like, me being here for the podcast is already me aligning with her, the businesswoman that has $1 million. You know what I mean? Like, I keep saying dollars, but I'm in Europe, but you know what I mean? It's like, what I'm doing right now is intentional, because that's who I want to be, and that's where I want to go. And I'm not saying that life sometimes doesn't throw us off track, and doesn't, like, suddenly there's a whole new other reality that is available for us that we feel more called to go into. That's a whole other story. You keep honoring yourself every single day, step by step. You don't always have to focus in the bigger picture. I just think, okay, what can I do today to honor myself? I don't think about like all the 30 years ahead of me, because I know shit is bound to change until then. Like, I know I'm gonna change so much. I know my perspective of life is gonna change. I know even my desires and my needs are gonna change. So I cannot assure myself that everything that I want right now is gonna like be what I want in the future. I cannot like assure myself that the expectations and the ideas that I have of the life that I want is not going to change, because it might. But that's not the point. That's why it's so important to create that presence and grounding in the present moment, because then you get like every single second is a new choice. Every single second is a new opportunity for you to choose yourself, because I genuinely believe that when you're choosing yourself, you can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong when you're choosing yourself, when you're honoring yourself, when you are being mindful of your needs and your desires in the present moment, because they might change. But if you keep like being aware of it, then you're going to change with it. You're going to flow naturally to wherever the universe wants you to go next. But you, like, your job, your responsibility to yourself in your life is to continue to be mindful and continue to honor yourself and be intentional about where you're going and what you're doing and how you're doing it, like where your thoughts are, how you're feeling, why you're feeling it. Like, all of that matters so fucking much. That's how you live your best life. I'm living my best life because I continue to choose myself, because I continue to choose what matters to me and what I need, and I continue to honor that day by day. I continue to do what's best for me, but also knowing that I screw up, knowing that I don't always practice gratitude, or I don't always practice self-validation, but every single day I have a new opportunity, and every single day I get to choose different and better, right? Like, it's not about being this perfect robot spiritual queen of like, oh my god, I meditate every single day 2 hours a day. Like, no. But you keep working towards doing what honors you to the best of your capacity, because the more you do it, the bigger your capacity is going to be. So there's nothing to worry about there. You're going to continue to naturally evolve. That's what happens, like a rock becomes sand. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes years, it takes fucking decades, but it happens. It always happens, because that's the process. If you keep like pushing towards that direction, or you keep taking the steps towards the direction, you're gonna get to that destination. You're gonna get to that place. If you keep climbing a mountain, no matter how fucking long it takes, you're gonna reach the top. It's like inevitable. It's like science. It's like it's a fact. You are gonna get where you want to go, but also recognize that you are already where you want to be. You're already where you're meant to be. You are already like being given everything that you need to reach the thing that you want to reach. You are already there. Like, maybe I don't have €1 million on my bank account right now, Maybe I don't have my future soulmate husband. Hello, if you're listening to this. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe I don't have all those things. I haven't achieved all my goals. I don't have 1 million downloads in my podcast yet. But that does not stop me from recognizing that, damn, like, I have a podcast. I'm already living my dream life. Like, I already have the business of my dreams. I already have so much love in my life. I already have a full life, because I keep working towards that. I keep choosing that life over just saying like, oh yeah, shit sucks and this is my life and this is all it could ever be, and you don't ever change anything. Because if you just settle for the life you have had in the past, and you're like content and you're just like, yeah, sure, this is all I can do, like this is as best as it can get, then you're not really living from your highest alignment. You're not living from your highest self. You're not. You're gonna choose to settle, which means probably staying in your couch, like on your couch, just watching TV, not doing shit, not putting yourself out there, not making the decisions that would actually take you to where you want to go. See, this is the thing. Like, if you recognize that you are already where you need to be in order to get to where you want to go, then you start becoming her inevitably. And that's what I've been realizing. It's like my life is already full of magic. And that's not a coincidence. I have put myself out there. I have been available to create that magic for myself. That's how I'm making it happen. It's not by sitting around and being like, oh, but I don't have $1 million, so I'm not rich. No, I am rich actually, because I am gifted so many beautiful things in life. Like, I have so many opportunities. Sure, I'm still living with my parents, but like, I'm living with my parents, you know? I could be homeless. I'm not. I'm comfortable. I have food in my fridge. I'm hungry now and I'm gonna eat afterwards. I have Netflix. I have my phone. I have everything I need to live a beautiful life. I'm not gonna say to myself like, oh, this sucks. That's why gratitude and all these practices are so important, because it's so easy to like just not recognize the gifts in your life. It's so easy to overlook them because you're used to them and you take them for granted. And I'm not saying that it's like, oh, everything can like, you know, can be gone in 1 minute. It's not that. Like, we're not out here trying to be dramatic. We're out here trying to recognize the richness, the abundance that already exists in our life. Like, dude, we're not at war, and yet there's people that are focusing on war every single day, and I'm like, I'm sorry, no fucking offense, but I just don't watch the fucking news, because I'm like, I refuse to be in the energy of that. I refuse to put shit in my brain telling me that life is hard, that the world is cruel, and that taxes are fucking high and life is harder and harder every day. I'm not gonna do that to myself. I'm not gonna consume that shit. I'm gonna choose to continue to give myself what my brain needs to continue to create the reality of my dreams. I'm not gonna entertain anything else that falls outside of that. I'm not gonna entertain anything else that is like going against what I want to believe. Because what you believe in is what's going to be created in your reality. It's what you're going to manifest. Something that a lot of people say is, where attention goes, energy flows. And what you give attention to, this is something that I always say, what you give attention to grows. What you cultivate in your life grows. What you give energy to in your life grows. If you're putting your energy, like, focusing on all the ways the world is wrong and the world is unfair and the world is hard and shit sucks and things are expensive, you're gonna continue to miss out on so many fucking amazing opportunities, because you're not gonna see yellow cars until you believe in yellow cars, and suddenly you see yellow cars everywhere. It's the same thing. That's how our brain works. When you recognize something, when you realize something in your brain, you see it everywhere. You know, you literally see it everywhere. And so that's why, for you to live your best life, you need to be consistent. You need to choose yourself. You need to practice these things. And you get to do also whatever you want. Like, I'm not saying that it has to be exactly in this way. Like, right, this is what works for me. And I know this works for you, but it's more in the sense of like, you get to personalize it to your own taste, to your own needs, to what you want in your life. And that can look different from you than it does for me. But overall, having the energy of gratitude is important. Validating yourself is so fucking important. Being mindful and grounded is important. And making space for yourself is so fucking crucial. Now, what that looks like for you, that's a whole other story, and that's something that you get to figure out as you go, because I'm still learning. Like, I'm still learning to show up for myself every single day, and I don't have it all figured out, and I'm sure there's more ways that I can show up for myself, and that's what I'm going to continue to figure out. And every time I face a challenge, or I face my shadows, or I'm confronted by something, I find in that an opportunity to learn more about that. How can I show up for myself even more? How can I continue to cultivate an even like better mindset for myself? How can I like use this in my favor so that it gives me an opportunity to learn more? And I feel like we've gone full circle with this. This is how you live your best life. This is how you live your best life. This is like, girls, I just gave you the fucking formula to living the best life ever, to living the life of your dreams. Like, that's the formula I just gave you. So you better take that shit and listen to it and let it soak in. Like, I think you can even re-listen to this episode whenever you want, so that you can like take some notes. You take some notes for real, because I think so many things that I said, like I got into the flow right now. I was receiving download after download. Shit was just like boom 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 boom. I was just like feeling, I don't even know what I said at this point. It's more like it was just like all coming up. I'm just like, damn, I'm not even here. It's just a vessel. I'm just like regurgitating, reproducing whatever the fuck is happening at the higher levels. Like, seriously, I feel like I just had a massive download for you guys, and I'm glad I did, because this has been on my mind lately, all these things that I just talked to you about, and I want you to know that it is possible for you. I don't want you to sit on your ass, although your ass is pretty much good. But I don't want you to just like not do anything about it. Like, you get to do something about it. I know that can feel intimidating, but that is also exciting, because then you're not doomed to live a life you don't want. You're not doomed to like be miserable forever. You're not bound to anything. You're only bound because of you. You're only bound by yourself. So if you change yourself, if you change your beliefs, if you shift this energy, then you're gonna like give yourself space to continue to create a bigger, better reality for yourself. And that's what this episode was about. And if you enjoyed that, make sure you follow the podcast if you haven't already, because I put out episodes every Thursday, very religiously. So every fucking Thursday I'm here talking to you guys and just putting these things out there so that I can inspire you, and so that we can raise our vibe together. Because definitely after these conversations, I always feel so fucking hyped and inspired and excited about life. And yeah, review the podcast with 5 stars if you have enjoyed this and you enjoy the show and you listen to it regularly, because that really helps, and that takes so fucking like nothing. That takes a few minutes, like less than 1 minute, and it really helps a lot, and it means so much to me. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Bye.